ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಸ್ಪೋಕನ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಪಾಠದ ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆಳವಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋಣ.
ಇದು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಭಾರತದ ಭಾಷೆಗಳನ್ನ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕನ್ನಡ, ತಮಿಳು, ತೆಲುಗು, ಮಲಯಾಳಂ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಿಂದಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋರ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರನೇ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. ಮನೆ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಇರೋ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು, ಕೋಳೆಗಳು, ಆ ವಿಷಯಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಕಲ್ಸೋದು ಇದರ ಉದ್ದೇಶ.
ಹೌದು. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ ಪದಗಳನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡೋದಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಹೇಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ವಿಧಾನಗಳನ್ನ ಬಳಸಿದರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಶಬ್ದಕೋಶ, ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಗ್ರಾಮರ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸಂಭಾಷಣೆ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗಳು, ತಪ್ಪುಗಳನ್ನು ಸರಿಪಡಿಸೋದು, ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗೆ ಸೇರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋಣ.
ಸರಿ, ಪಾಠ ಶುರುವಾಗೋದೇ ಮನೆಯ ಕೋಣೆಗಳ ಹೆಸರುಗಳಿಂದ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ರೂಮ್, ಬೆಡ್ರೂಮ್, ಕಿಚನ್, ಬಾತ್ರೂಮ್ ಅಂತ.
ಹೌದು.
ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ರೂಮ್. ಸೇ ಇಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಮೀ, ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ರೂಮ್ ಈ ಥರ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ರಿಪಿಟೇಷನ್, ಇದು ತುಂಬಾ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಯಾಕಿದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್? ನೋಡಿ, ಆರಂಭದ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಉಚ್ಚಾರಣೆಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪದ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಮುಖ್ಯ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ವಿಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ದೃಶ್ಯಗಳು ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳುಗರನ್ನ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಸುಮ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್.
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಕೋಣೆಗರಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು, ಚೇರ್, ಟೇಬಲ್, ಸೋಫಾ, ಬೆಡ್, ಫ್ಯಾನ್, ಲೈಟ್, ಹೀಗೆ.
ಹೌದು.
ಬರೀ ಹೆಸರುಗಳಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಚೇರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ರೂಮ್ ಅಥವಾ ದ ಫ್ಯಾನ್ ಇಸ್ ಆನ್, ಈ ತರದ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ.
ಅದೇ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನ ತುಂಬಾ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಒಂದಿದ್ರೆ ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್, ಒಂದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿದ್ರೆ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಅಂತ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು, ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಸೋಫಾ, ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ 4 ಚೇರ್ಸ್, ಈ ಥರ. ಇನ್ನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕುರ್ಚಿ ಇದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಹಿಂದಿಲಿ ಏಕ್ ಕುರ್ಸಿ ಹೈ ಅಂತ ಹೋಲ್ಸಿ ಹೇಳೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ,
ಅದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಐಡಿಯಾ. ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಭಾಷೆಯವರಿಗೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ.
ಖಂಡಿತ. ತಮ್ಮ ಭಾಷೆಗೆ ಅದನ್ನ ರಿಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಈಸಿ ಆಗತ್ತೆ.
ನನ್ಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ಸಿದ್ದಂದ್ರೆ, ಇದು ಬರೀ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್, ಗ್ರಾಮರ್ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ. ಡೈಲಿ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ಗಳು. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಓಪನ್ ದ ಡೋರ್, ಸ್ವಿಚ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಲೈಟ್, ವೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೈ ಫೋನ್, ಈ ತರಹದ್ದು.
ಹೌದು.
ಮತ್ತೆ ತಾಯಿ ಮಗು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋ ತರ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ರೋಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ.
ಅದೇ, ಇದು ಭಾಷೆಯನ್ನ ಬರೀ ಒಂದು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ತರ ನೋಡದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಬಳಸೋ ಒಂದು ಟೂಲ್ ತರ ತೋರಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟಿವ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ಅಂತಾರಲ್ಲ ಹಾಗೆ. ಆ ಸಂಭಾಷಣೆ ತುಣುಕು ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಭಾಷೆಗೆ ಜೀವ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಇದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಭಾಗ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಾಮನ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಷನ್.
ಹೌದು ಹೌದು, ಅದನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ದೆ. ಲೈಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಬದಲು ದ ಲೈಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಅಥವಾ ಐ ಗೋ ಕಿಚನ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಕಿಚನ್ ಅಂತ.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗಮನಿಸಬೇಕಾದ್ದು ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇದು ತಪ್ಪು ಅಂತ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೀಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದು ಸರಿ ಅಂತ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದು ಆ ಕಲಿಯೋರಿಗೆ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡೋ ಭಯ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ.
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಆತ್ಮವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ದ, ಎ, ಆನ್, ಟು, ಈ ತರದ ಸಣ್ಣ ಸಣ್ಣ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನ ಮೊದಲೇ ಹೇಳೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೇದಲ್ವಾ?
ಖಂಡಿತ. ಫೌಂಡೇಶನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ.
ಪಾಠದ ಕೊನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲವು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ವಿಚ್ ರೂಮ್ ಡು ಯು ಸ್ಲೀಪ್ ಇನ್, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಯೋರ್ ಕಿಚನ್ ಅಂತ.
ಹೌದು.
ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾತಾಡೋಕೆ ಕೆಲವು ಟಿಪ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿರೋ ವಸ್ತುಗಳಿಗೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಹೆಸರು ಬರೆದು ಲೇಬಲ್ ಹಾಕಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಪ್ರತಿ ರೂಮಿಗೂ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ವಾಕ್ಯ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿ ಅಂತ.
ಇದು ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಲಿಯೋರು ಸುಮ್ನೆ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡೋದಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು.
ಸರಿ.
ಒಟ್ಟಾರೆಯಾಗಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಪಾಠದಲ್ಲಿ ವೊಕ್ಯಾಬುಲರಿ, ಗ್ರಾಮರ್, ಸಂಭಾಷಣೆ, ತಪ್ಪು ಸರಿ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕಲಿಕೆಯನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಭಯಪಡದೆ ಕಲಿಯೋ ತರ ಮಾಡೋ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಇದು.
ಆ ಕೊನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಡೋಂಟ್ ಮೆಮರೈಸ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್, ಲಿವ್ ಇಟ್, ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಂತ.
ಹೌದು, ಅದೇ ಇಡೀ ಪಾಠದ ಸಾರಾಂಶ ಅನ್ಬೋದು.
ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಈ ಚರ್ಚೆಯಿಂದ ನಮಗೇನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಬಹುಶಃ ನಮಗೆ ತುಂಬಾನೇ ಪರಿಚಯ ಇರೋ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯ ವಾತಾವರಣವನ್ನೇ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೊಸ ಭಾಷೆ ಕಲಿಯೋಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕಲಿಯೋ ಭಯ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಲ್ವಾ?
ಅದು ನಿಜ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಈ ತರಹದ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ವೊಕ್ಯಾಬ್ಯುಲರಿ, ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್, ಇದು ಭಾಷಾ ಪ್ರಾವೀಣ್ಯತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಯಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇದೇ ಸಾಕಾಗುತ್ತಾ?
ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಆದ ಹಂತಗಳಿಗೆ ಇದು ಹೇಗೆ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ?
ಬಹುಶಃ ಪಾಠದ ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಅವರು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವೀಕ್ ನಾವು ಡೈಲಿ ರುಟೀನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕಲಿಯೋಣ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ,
ಹೌದು.
ಅದು ಕಲಿಕೆ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಬೈ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಆಗಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಇಂದ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದರ ಸೂಚನೆ ಇರಬಹುದು. ಅಡಿಪಾಯ ಗಟ್ಟಿಯಾದ್ರೆ ತಾನೇ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಟ್ಟೋದು. ಸರಿ, ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದ್ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಈ ಪಾಠ ಮನೆಯನ್ನೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಇದೇ ಲಾಜಿಕ್ ಬಳಸಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಇರೋ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ವಸ್ತುಗಳನ್ನ, ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳನ್ನ, ನಮ್ಮ ದಿನಚರ್ಯೆಯನ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ಹೊಸ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಕಲಿಯೋಕೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಳಸ್ಕೋಬಹುದು.
नमस्कार। आज हम एक दिलचस्प शिक्षण सामग्री पर बात कर रहे हैं।
ನಮಸ್ತೆ.
ये अंग्रेजी सिखाने वाली एक वीडियो स्क्रिप्ट का हिस्सा है, तीसरा हफ्ता। और ये खास तौर पर भारतीय भाषाएं जैसे कन्नड़, तमिल, हिंदी, इनके बोलने वालों के लिए है।
हाँ, और इसका फोकस घर पर है.
बिल्कुल, घर और जो रोजमर्रा के काम होते हैं, ताकि लोग अपने घर के बारे में अंग्रेजी में बात कर पाएं, आसान अंग्रेजी में।
हाँ, ये तरीका मुझे बहुत सहज लगा. मतलब घर तो एक जानी पहचानी जगह है ना,
हाँ,
तो वहां से शुरू करने पे वो जो नई भाषा सीखने की एक झिझक होती है वो कम हो जाती है.
सही बात है। खासकर वयस्कों के लिए शायद, जो पहली बार सीख रहे हों।
बिल्कुल.
अच्छा, इसकी बनावट को देखें जरा, काफी व्यवस्थित है ना?
हाँ, एक स्ट्रक्चर है.
पहले तो घर के कमरों के नाम आते हैं, जैसे लिविंग रूम, बेडरूम, किचन, बाथरूम, डाइनिंग रूम, बालकनी, गार्डन भी है, स्टडी रूम, स्टोर रूम, टेरेस, सारे कवर किए हैं। फिर आते हैं घर की चीजों पर, कुर्सी, मेज, सोफा, बिस्तर, अलमारी, शीशा, टीवी, पंखा, स्टोव, लाइट, मतलब जो रोज दिखता है।
हाँ, और सिखाने का तरीका भी देखिए. सरल वाक्य है, कमरे में एक कुर्सी है, और दोहराव है.
हाँ, वो दोहराव।
और ये जो परिचित चीजों के साथ नए शब्द जोड़ना है, ये बहुत असरदार है, क्योंकि आप वो चीज रोज देख रहे हैं.
हाँ,
तो उसका अंग्रेजी नाम सीखना मतलब रटने जैसा नहीं लगता, वो सीधे आपके अनुभव से जुड़ जाता है.
सही कहा, भाषा एकदम जिंदगी से जुड़ जाती है। अच्छा, व्याकरण की बात करें
हाँ,
तो स्क्रिप्ट में देयर इज एक चीज के लिए और देयर आर मतलब कई चीजों के लिए, इस पर जोर है। और मजेदार बात यह है कि ये तुलना भी करती है, जैसे हिंदी में एक कुर्सी है या कन्नड़ में उंदू कुदरे इदे।
हाँ,
उससे समझाते हैं कि देयर इज अ चेयर का असल मतलब क्या है।
और ये तुलना बहुत बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है. ये एक तरह से पुल का काम करती है.
पुल, अच्छा।
हाँ, अपनी भाषा के व्याकरण से नई भाषा के नियम तक. तो वो नियम एकदम से अजनबी नहीं लगता. लगता है कि हाँ, इसका कुछ लॉजिक है जो मेरी भाषा से जुड़ता है.
समझ गया, बोझ कम हो जाता है सीखने का।
बिल्कुल.
अच्छा, सिर्फ शब्द और व्याकरण ही नहीं है इसमें, रोज के वाक्य भी हैं, छोटे छोटे काम के वाक्य। जैसे दरवाजा खोलो या लाइट बंद कर दो या फिर मेरा फोन कहाँ है, आम बातचीत वाले।
हाँ, ये तो बहुत जरूरी है.
और इसको और समझाने के लिए एक रोल प्ले भी डाला है, माँ और बच्चे के बीच सुबह की बातचीत।
अच्छा.
हाँ, नाश्ते के बारे में, ब्रश करने के बारे में, छोटी छोटी बातें।
तो ये जो स्थितियों के जरिए सीखना है, जैसे रोल प्ले, ये भाषा को एकदम जीवंत बना देता है.
सही।
पता चलता है कि अच्छा, ये शब्द, ये वाक्य असल में ऐसे इस्तेमाल होते हैं, ये सिर्फ रूल नहीं है.
बिल्कुल, आप असल में कैसे बात करेंगे वो दिखता है।
हाँ, लगता है कि हाँ, मैं भी बोल सकती हूँ.
इसमें एक और अच्छी चीज है, आम गलतियों पर ध्यान देना।
हाँ, ये तो होता ही है, पहली भाषा का असर.
हाँ, जैसे कई लोग बोलते हैं लाइट इज ऑफ, स्क्रिप्ट बताती है कि सही है द लाइट इज ऑफ, द लगाना है। या जैसे फैन इज ओपन, नहीं द फैन इज ऑन। ये छोटी छोटी गलतियां।
और स्क्रिप्ट ये सुझाव भी देती है कि इन गलतियों को उनकी अपनी भाषा में समझाया जाए.
हाँ,
ये बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि ये गलतियां बहुत आम होती हैं और अगर शुरू में ठीक ना हो तो पक्की हो जाती हैं.
सही कहा, आदत बन जाती है फिर।
हाँ, तो ये शुरुआत में ही ध्यान देना अच्छा है, सटीकता के लिए.
और फिर आता है अभ्यास का हिस्सा, सिर्फ देखना या सुनना नहीं,
एक्टिव लर्निंग. हाँ,
दर्शकों से सवाल पूछे जाते हैं, जैसे आप किस कमरे में सोते हैं, और असल जिंदगी में अभ्यास के तरीके भी सुझाए हैं।
अच्छा.
हाँ, जैसे घर की चीजों पर अंग्रेजी में लेबल लगा दो।
अच्छा आइडिया है ये तो.
हाँ, या हर कमरे के लिए जोर से एक वाक्य बोलो, या परिवार वालों से अंग्रेजी में बात करो। छोटे छोटे वाक्य, रसोई में आओ। ये घर के बारे में वाक्य लिखना और उन्हें जोर से बोलने का अभ्यास करना।
तो ये पूरा जोर इस बात पर है कि आप सिर्फ सीखें नहीं, बल्कि इसका इस्तेमाल करें, बोलें, लिखें।
बिल्कुल।
भाषा तभी आती है जब वो इस्तेमाल होती है, दिमाग से जुबान पर लाना जरूरी है।
सही। तो कुल मिलाकर देखें तो ये स्रोत हमें दिखाता है कि कैसे घर जैसे परिचित माहौल का इस्तेमाल करके, शब्दावली से शुरू करके, फिर व्याकरण, फिर रोज के वाक्यों,
हाँ,
गलतियों का सुधार और आखिर में सक्रिय अभ्यास, इन सब को मिलाकर अंग्रेजी सीखने को कितना व्यावहारिक और स्टेप बाय स्टेप बनाया जा सकता है।
ये एक पूरी सोची समझी रणनीति है, सिर्फ अलग अलग टुकड़े नहीं हैं।
बिल्कुल।
और जाते जाते एक विचार यहाँ छोड़ते हैं सोचने के लिए।
हाँ।
क्या हो अगर इस सीखने की सामग्री को और भी ज्यादा स्थानीय, मतलब हाइपर लोकल बनाया जाए?
हाइपर लोकल
मतलब सिर्फ भाषा की समानताएं ही नहीं, बल्कि शायद घर के डिजाइन में जो क्षेत्रीय फर्क होते हैं
जी।
या रोज की दिनचर्या में जो अंतर होते हैं अलग अलग जगहों पर,
अच्छा।
क्या उन चीजों को शामिल करके अलग अलग बैकग्राउंड से आने वाले सीखने वालों के लिए भाषा सीखना और भी बेहतर और भी अपना सा नहीं बन सकता?
दिलचस्प सवाल है, सोचने वाली बात है।
Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're getting into something really fundamental, something universal, really, the whole idea of home.
Right. It's really the space we know best.
Exactly, the backdrop to our daily life, all those little rituals, memories. But how often do we actually stop and think about how we describe it, the actual words, the structure we use?
Probably not very often if it's your first language.
Yeah.
It just comes naturally.
It does. But imagine learning a new language, like English. Suddenly, that familiar space, your home, it becomes this incredibly rich learning ground. It's immediate. It's personal.
Oh, absolutely. That familiarity, that constant interaction, it makes the home such a powerful starting point for learning a language. It's all around you.
Yeah. Tangible stuff you can point to.
Right. Endless chances to actually use the words. It stops being this, abstract thing you do in a classroom and becomes, well, relevant right now.
Which perfectly leads us to our source material for today's deep dive. We've been looking at this script from a language learning program, and it's specifically designed to help people talk confidently about their homes in English.
Okay.
Now, this particular one, it's tailored for native speakers of Kannada, Tamil, Malayalam, Hindi, and Telugu. And we'll definitely unpack why that's important.
That's interesting. Tailored instruction.
Yeah, but the core approach, I think it's valuable for pretty much anyone building those foundational English skills. It's like a masterclass in making tricky language stuff feel, well, manageable and useful right away.
And what really jumped out at you about this source? What's its core approach?
Well, it's not just about memorizing lists. That's clear.
Right. Rote learning doesn't stick usually.
Exactly. It's this multi-layered thing. They use stories, which is great for memory, right? And context.
Story-based learning, yeah.
Yeah.
Very effective.
Then there's repetition, but it feels smart, targeted, not just drilling. Conversation practice, grammar bites, like small, digestible chunks.
Grammar bites. I like that. Less intimidating.
Totally. And crucially, getting the learner actively involved. The whole philosophy seems to be less about learning English like a subject and more about, living it, using it daily.
So acquisition over just learning, embodying the language.
Precisely. And I was really struck by how relatable it felt right from the start. Looking at the script for week 3, the intro visuals.
How are they showing?
Just a real mix of Indian homes, city apartments, village houses, modern flats, even scenes of families just hanging out.
So not generic stock photos.
No, not at all. It felt deliberate.
Right.
Like they wanted to create this instant connection. The host even starts with Namaste. You immediately feel like, okay, this learning space gets my reality.
That's incredibly smart, actually. That visual grounding.
Yeah. Why do you think that's so effective?
Well, it's strategic, I think.
Yeah.
And empathetic. By showing homes that look like the learner's own environment, they're basically saying, this English, it's for your life, for your home.
Right. Not some abstract foreign concept.
Exactly. It lowers the mental barrier. You're not trying to map new words onto some unfamiliar cultural scene. You can just focus on the language itself because the context is already familiar.
That makes a lot of sense. It provides that psychological comfort. You see yourself in it.
Right. From frame 1, it's like building on what the learner already knows, their existing world. Really good constructivist learning, actually.
It really is. Sets the stage perfectly. So, okay, for our deep dive today, we're going to unpack this whole approach. How does this very practical, structured method help someone get genuinely confident talking about their home?
Sounds good. Where do we start?
We'll start where they start with the basic building blocks, the vocabulary, the bricks and mortar, if you will.
Makes sense.
Then we'll look at the grammatical glue holding it together. After that, how they bring it all alive with everyday phrases and even a little story.
Okay.
vocabulary, grammar, application.
And then, crucially, how they tackle common mistakes, sharpening the edges. And finally, how they push the learner to actually use it, to practice, activating fluency.
A comprehensive approach.
Let's lay that first brick there, vocabulary. So, starting with the home environment. Why is this such an effective launch method for learning a language? You touched on it, but let's dig in a bit more. Linguistically, psychologically, what are the big advantages?
Well, like we said, the immediate relevance is huge. Your home is.
Right.
It's concrete. It's full of things you see and touch and use constantly.
Right, every day, multiple times.
Exactly. So you have these constant physical reference points. You don't need to imagine a scenario. The classroom is literally all around you. Every chair, every light switch.
An instant opportunity for practice.
Precisely. And then there's the frequency. The words for things in your house, table, bed, kitchen, door, they're high-frequency words.
Things you need to say often.
Right. So you start by learning vocabulary you'll genuinely use all the time. That repetition reinforces memory naturally.
And you mentioned psychological comfort, too.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Your home is safe. It's familiar. Learning there feels less intimidating than, say, trying to speak in a public space right away.
Lower stakes. Less fear of making mistakes.
Exactly. You're more likely to experiment, to try things out. It basically turns English from this potentially scary, abstract thing into a personal tool for navigating your immediate world.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. Okay, so the source applies this directly. They start with the rooms. The list is living room, bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, dining room, balcony, gardens, study room, storeroom, and terrace.
Interesting list.
Yeah, it's not just a generic house parts list, is it? What do these specific choices, especially things like balcony, terrace, maybe storeroom, tell us about the likely homes of the target audience? Because they might be less common or used differently elsewhere.
That selection feels very culturally attuned. It really reflects common features in many Indian homes.
Oh.
A balcony, for example.
Yeah.
It's often much more than just a decorative thing.
Right, it's functional,
Oh,
social.
totally. People use it for tea, for plants, drying clothes, maybe neighbors chat across balconies. It's a real living space. A terrace too often used for sleeping out, social events, drying things. Very common.
And study room, storeroom.
Study room points to maybe a cultural emphasis on education, having that dedicated space. And storeroom is just practical. Almost every household needs one for essentials. So including these words makes the learning instantly recognizable.
So the learner thinks, yeah, I have one of those.
Exactly. They don't have to mentally translate the concept. They can directly map the English word onto their existing reality. It reduces that cognitive friction. It's subtle, but really smart design.
It really connects the language to their life.
Yeah.
Okay, so teaching these room names, the method is described as repeat mode. Like, this is the living room. Say it with me. Living room. And there's always a visual, a picture, or cartoon, plus the audio. Why is this multisensory repetition so effective for actually learning and remembering?
Well, from a cognitive perspective, it hits several key learning principles. First, the multisensory part, visual, auditory, and even kinesthetic by saying it aloud.
Right, using different brain pathways.
Exactly. It creates stronger, more redundant memory traces. If you can't recall it visually, maybe the sound clicks, or vice versa, like building multiple paths to the same memory.
Okay, makes sense.
Then there's the repetition itself. While it's immediate here, the structure implies these words will pop up again later, in different contexts. That's spaced repetition, which is crucial for getting stuff into long-term memory.
So it's not just mindless parroting.
No, and the act of saying it aloud, that's active recall. You're pulling the word out, not just passively receiving it. That strengthens the connection. Plus, you get immediate feedback. You say, living room. You see the living room picture. It confirms you got it right. That's motivating.
So it makes the new words stick and gives that feeling of, okay, I learned something useful right now.
Precisely. Early success is a powerful motivator in language learning.
Okay, so rooms are established. Next step, filling them. Part 2 brings in furniture and objects. We've got chair, table, sofa, bed, cupboard, mirror, TV, fan, stove, light. Again, this doesn't feel random.
No, it's very much core functional vocabulary. These are the absolute essentials you interact with daily.
High frequency, high utility items.
Exactly. They're not cluttering the learner's brain with obscure words first. They're giving them the tools to describe the fundamental stuff around them. It maximizes the immediate usefulness of the learning effort. It's about communication, not just collecting words.
And they immediately put these into simple sentences like, there's a chair in the room, or I sleep on the bed, the fan is on, the kitchen has a stove. It's not just naming, it's using.
And that's the key. Applied learning. They're not just nouns in isolation. They're presented in basic sentence patterns. I sleep on the bed. Action, object, preposition. Simple, but powerful.
Yeah, introducing verbs and prepositions naturally.
The kitchen has a stove that hints at possession or existence within a space. It moves the learner from just labeling to actually describing what's there, what's happening. Basic descriptive building blocks.
And this brings up something really interesting. That phrase, the fan is on, it's introduced early, but later the module tackles a common mistake, saying fan is open. Why is introducing the fan is on right at the start so important, especially for speakers of these specific languages?
This is a brilliant example of understanding language transfer, or L1 interference. In many Indian languages, the way you'd express switching on an appliance might literally translate closer to open or maybe start.
So fan is open would feel natural if you just translated directly.
Exactly. It might sound right based on their native language structure, but it's completely unidiomatic in English. English uses specific phrasal verbs or states like turn on, or it simply is on for electronics.
Like turn on the light, the TV is on.
Right. We open doors, windows, boxes, but not fans or lights. By teaching the fan is on right away, the program proactively blocks that common translation error. It stops the learner from cementing an incorrect pattern.
Preventing fossilization of the error.
Precisely. It shows a deep understanding of the learner's likely pitfalls. It's tailoring the instruction based on their linguistic background, which is really the mark of expert curriculum design.
That's critical. Get it right from day one. So for you, the listener, you're immediately learning the natural English way to say it, which is a huge advantage.
It absolutely is. It helps you sound more natural, faster.
So these words, these phrases, they're not just items on a list. They genuinely let you start painting a picture of your own space, describing things right from the get-go.
Yeah, and that immediate usefulness makes the learning feel valuable, meaningful. You're learning to talk about your world.
Okay, so we've got the vocabulary bricks, but words floating around aren't enough, right? We need to stick them together. Which brings us to section 2, the grammatical glue.
Makes sense. Structure is key.
The source moves from words to grammar here, but it feels less like a heavy grammar lesson and more like getting a new tool. They call it a grammar bite. What does that name suggest to you?
Grammar bite. Yeah, it sounds concise, manageable, not overwhelming. Like they're not going to hit you with the entire English verb system at once.
Right. Avoid the info dump.
Exactly. It implies focusing on one key, high-frequency concept at a time. In this case, the focus is on there is and there are. A really fundamental structure for description. It's a good example of scaffolding, building knowledge step by step.
And they immediately connect it back to the vocabulary the learners just picked up. Super smart. The rule is simple. There is for one thing, there are for many.
Clear and direct.
Then the examples use the room and furniture words. There is a sofa in the living room. There are 4 chairs in the dining room. There is a mirror in the bathroom. There are 2 beds in the house. It's grammar shown in action, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's not grammar in isolation. By using sofa, chairs, mirror, beds, again, they show the immediate usefulness of there is are. Learners see how these 2 little phrases instantly let them describe what's in their home, quantity, existence.
It's grammar as a tool for expression right away.
Exactly. Very practical, very empowering.
Now, here's where I think it gets really insightful, especially for these specific learners. The source provides this direct linguistic bridge. The host says something like, in Hindi, we say, "Ek kursi hai." In English, there is a chair. In Canada, "On the kudur aide." In English, there is a chair. Simple. What's the impact of doing that direct comparison?
Oh, that's huge. Pedagogically, that's a game changer for this audience.
Yeah.
Directly tackles that tendency we all have to translate word for word from our native language.
Right, a language transfer, again, which often leads to errors.
Precisely. By explicitly showing the exact equivalent phrase in Hindi in Canada, they're not just teaching the English phrase, they're showing how it maps onto a concept the learner already understands in their own language.
Leveraging their existing knowledge.
Yes, it makes the new structure feel less alien. It's like saying, you know how to say this in Hindi. Okay, this is how you say that same idea in English. It lowers the cognitive load dramatically, and it helps prevent those direct translation mistakes before they even happen.
It makes it feel achievable, simple, like the host says.
It bridges that mental gap very effectively. It's truly tailored instruction. using the learner's L1 as an asset, not a hindrance.
So mastering this there are thing, even though it seems basic, how much does it actually expand what a learner can describe?
Massively. It's foundational. Suddenly, you can inventory any space. You can talk about what exists, what doesn't, how many. There is a window. There are 3 pictures on the wall. There isn't a table here.
Right. You can paint a basic picture of any room.
Any room, any scene. It's the absolute bedrock of descriptive language about place and presence. Moving from single words to actual descriptions. It's a massive step up in communicative power.
That's a great way to put it. Immense descriptive power from just 2 small phrases. Okay, so we have the words, we have the basic grammar to link them. But language isn't just describing static things, right? It's about interaction, doing things.
Absolutely. It's dynamic.
So, section 3. This is where the program seems to shift gears, moving from description towards, well, bringing the home to life, how we communicate within it.
Yeah, this is crucial. Language is for doing. Making requests, asking questions, giving instructions, stating where you are. This is about functional communication in those everyday domestic situations, moving towards real communicative competence.
And part 4 drills down on those super common sentences we use at home all the time. The examples are great. Please open the door, switch off the light, where is my phone? I am in the kitchen, close the window, the water is in the bottle.
Yeah, these are high-frequency, highly practical phrases, the absolute nuts and bolts of household chat.
You need these constantly.
Right, and mastering them means you can immediately participate in what's going on around you. Plus, the source mentions using everyday family life scenes with subtitles. That visual context is gold.
Why is seeing it in a scene so helpful?
Because you're not just hearing words. You're seeing the situation, the body language, the context where the phrase is actually used. It makes it more memorable, easier to understand when and how to use it yourself. It's like mini immersion, comprehensible input in action.
So for you, the listener, learning these means you can instantly do things like ask where something is, tell someone to close the door, say where you are. Real communication power in your own home.
And that immediate success is so motivating. You learn a phrase, you can potentially use it 5 minutes later. That's a powerful feedback loop.
Definitely. And then the program seems to pull it all together in part 5, the morning scene. It's described as a short role play, a mother and child Rhea, in the morning. This sounds like it combines everything learned so far.
Yeah, role plays and stories are fantastic for consolidating learning. They put all the isolated pieces, vocabulary, grammar, phrases into a meaningful context. Let's hear that dialogue again.
Okay, it goes.
Wake up, Rhea.
Good morning, Amma.
Brush your teeth.
Okay. Where is my brush?
It's in the bathroom.
What's for breakfast?
Idli and chutney. Come to the dining room.
Yay!
My favorite.
See? It seems simple, but look what's happening there.
Okay, break it down.
You've got rooms, bathroom, dining room, objects, brush, questions. Where's my brush? What's for breakfast? Commands. Wake up, brush your teeth, come to the dining room.
All stuff covered earlier.
Exactly. Plus, it naturally weaves in cultural touches like amma and idli and chutney, making it super relatable for the target audience.
Right. It feels authentic.
And the narrative itself provides context. Even if a word was slightly unsure, the story helps you guess the meaning. It makes the language comprehensible through the situation.
It really shows how simple English can create a whole understandable scene. You're not just learning lists, you're seeing the language work.
Precisely. And the mention of optional native language subtitles is important too.
How so? It's a safety net. If anything is unclear, the subtitles provide instant clarification in the learner's own language. It prevents frustration, builds confidence, and ensures they fully grasp the meaning. It's excellent scaffolding support when needed.
So it's learning by seeing and hearing English used in a familiar story, with backup if you need it. Very effective.
It makes the language feel like a natural part of life, not just a school subject. Structured immersion, really.
Okay, so we've built vocabulary, glued it with grammar, brought it alive with daily phrases and a story, but learning a language involves, well, messing up sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mistakes are inevitable. Essential, even.
Which brings us to section 4, sharpening the edges. This part of the source actually tackles common mistakes. I find that quite brave and really useful. Why is it so important for a program to explicitly address errors?
It's incredibly important because, as you say, mistakes happen, especially those influenced by your first language. If you don't address them, they can fossilize.
Fossilize, meaning they get stuck.
Yeah, they become ingrained habits that are really hard to break later on. By tackling common errors directly, the program helps learners achieve accuracy, not just basic communication. It guides them away from those pitfalls towards more natural-sounding English.
And it normalizes mistakes too, maybe. Takes the fear out of it.
Exactly. Shows mistakes are part of learning, but correction is key to improving.
Okay, let's look at the specific examples they give. They're very revealing. First, saying light is off instead of, ooh, the light is off. What's the crucial difference there?
It boils down to articles, specifically the definite article the. Many languages don't use articles in the same way English does, or they might be implied.
So you might just translate directly and leave it out.
Right. But in English, the light refers to a specific light we both know about. Without the light is off sounds weirdly general, like talking about the concept of light. The makes it concrete, this specific light. It's a fundamental point about specifying nouns in English.
Got it. That little word the carries a lot of weight. Okay, next one. I go kitchen versus I am going to the kitchen. This looks like it hits two things.
It does. Another classic transfer error. First, the missing preposition to. English needs to show direction of movement. Go to the kitchen. Walk to the shop. Leaving it out sounds very unnatural.
Okay, need the to. What's the second error?
The verb tense, I go, is simple present, usually for habits. I go to work every day. For an action happening now, or intended right now, we use the present continuous. I am going.
Ah, so it's about both direction and timing.
Exactly. I am going to the kitchen correctly uses the preposition for movement and the tense for current or immediate action. Super important for everyday descriptions of movement.
Makes sense. And the last one, fan. Fan is open versus the egg the fan is on. We touched on this, but it really highlights that idiomatic difference, doesn't it?
It really does. It's maybe the clearest example of why direct translation fails. As we discussed, the concept might be open in the learner's L1, but English uses on and off for appliances.
You turn a fan on, it is on. You don't open it.
Precisely. It's a specific phrasal verb state concept in English that just has to be learned. You can't logically deduce it just from the word fan. By explicitly correcting this, the source tackles a really common, persistent error head-on. It shows they really understand the learner's challenges.
Teaching them to sound authentically English, not just translated English.
Exactly.
And critically, the source notes that the host explains these corrections in the native language. Why is that explanation in Hindi or Kannada so vital? Why not just give the correct English?
Because just giving the correction might not address the root cause of the error, which lies in the structure of their first language. The native language explanation allows the learner to understand why English is different.
Ah, the logic behind it.
Yes. It helps them see the different linguistic framework, how English structures that idea compared to their L1. It's not just memorizing a fix, it's understanding the underlying difference. That helps restructure their mental grammar and makes the correction truly stick.
Fosters deeper understanding, not just surface correction.
Exactly. It encourages thinking about how languages work differently. That's far more powerful for long-term accuracy. It's really thoughtful, targeted instruction.
This whole section feels really valuable. It's not just teaching the right way, but actively helping learners overcome those specific hurdles they're likely to face, building accuracy and confidence.
Definitely. It treats mistakes as learning opportunities, which is a very healthy approach.
Okay, so we've learned words, grammar, put them in sentences, seen them in a story, even corrected common mistakes. But knowing about the language isn't the same as using it fluently, right?
Not at all. Knowledge needs activation.
Which brings us to the final section, Section 5, Activating Fluency. This feels like the bridge from learning to doing, because practice makes perfect, as they say.
This is where the learning really solidifies. All the previous steps build the foundation.
Right.
But active practice is what builds the house. It's about moving from receptive knowledge understanding to productive skill actually speaking. This is essential for fluency.
It's about making the language your own.
Right. Pulling it out of your memory and using it. That retrieval practice is what makes it stick and become automatic over time.
So, Part 7 sets up specific practice time. They ask learners questions like, which room do you sleep in? What is in your kitchen? Do you have a balcony? How many fans are there in your house? Where do you watch TV?
Good, personalized questions using the learned vocabulary and structures.
And the key instruction is, pause the video and say your answers aloud. Practice builds fluency.
Yep.
Why is that act of pausing and speaking aloud so critical?
Oh, it's hugely important. It turns passive watching into active engagement. Firstly, speaking aloud uses the physical muscles involved in speech. It builds articulatory fluency.
Muscle memory for your mouth?
Kind of, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Secondly, you hear yourself speak English. That auditory feedback is vital for self-monitoring and self-correction. You might notice awkward phrasing or pronunciation.
You become your own first critic in a good way.
Exactly. And it's active recall again. You're retrieving the words and grammar you need to answer your specific situation. That strengthens those neural pathways much more than just passively listening. It also builds confidence in the act of speaking itself, which can be daunting.
Low-stakes speaking practice, basically.
Right. Translating understanding into actual performance.
Then, Part 8 takes it further with real-life practice ideas, making sure the learning continues after the lesson. They suggest things like labeling items at home in English bed, fan, mirror tags everywhere.
Yeah. Visual dictionary mode.
Speaking one sentence aloud for every room you enter.
Building a daily habit. Consistency.
A week talking to a family member in English, even simple stuff like, come to the kitchen, the cupboard is open. How do these everyday tips help keep the learning going?
They brilliantly integrate the learning into the fabric of daily life. They foster what you might call environmental immersion right in your own home.
Making your home the classroom.
Exactly. Labeling items creates constant visual reinforcement. Speaking a sentence per room ensures daily, active use and keeps the language top of mind. And talking to family members, that creates a supportive, real-world practice space.
Reduces the pressure, maybe.
Totally. It normalizes using English in a comfortable setting. Even those simple commands build conversational fluency and confidence. It makes English a living tool, not just a subject studied in isolation.
It really does turn the home into this amazing, accessible language lab. It's not about finding extra time to study. It's about weaving study into your existing time and space.
Precisely. It promotes sustained, embedded organic learning, which is often the most effective kind. It fully embodies that philosophy. Don't memorize English. Live it, speak it, practice every day. It empowers the learner to take control, using the resources they already have.
Okay, so that brings us towards the end of this really interesting deep dive into just 1 week's worth of this language program. Let's quickly recap the journey it takes the learner on.
Sure, it's quite comprehensive for one module.
Right. We started with that core vocabulary rooms, objects. Carefully chosen, culturally relevant.
Foundational bricks.
Then the grammatical glue, there is, there are, explained with those helpful cross-lingual bridges.
Making structure accessible.
Then bringing it alive with everyday sentences, the kind you actually use constantly at home.
Functional communication.
And consolidating it all in that morning routine story, that role play.
Contextual application. Narrative power.
All building on each other step by step towards practical communication.
It's a very logical progression. Vocabulary, structure, usage, context. And crucially, identifying and fixing those common errors along the way. It's well thought out.
And the learning journey doesn't just stop there. There's homework. Write 5 sentences about your house. Use there are. Practice saying them aloud twice a day. Why this specific homework? What's the value?
It's concise, but hits multiple skills. The writing part forces careful thought about grammar and sentence structure.
Slows you down, makes you be precise.
Right. Specifying use. There are reinforces that key grammar point actively. And the saying them aloud twice a day part, that's crucial for fluency, pronunciation, and just cementing the patterns through repetition and production.
So it covers writing, grammar reinforcement, and speaking practice, all in one small task.
Exactly. A very efficient way to consolidate the week's learning and bridge to ongoing practice.
And they give a little peek ahead. Next week, we'll learn how to talk about your daily routine from morning to night in smooth English. That shows a clear path forward, doesn't it?
It does. It shows this isn't just isolated topics, but a progressive curriculum. Moving from describing the static environment, the house, to describing actions within time, daily routine, is a very natural next step in building descriptive and narrative skills.
Expanding the learner's world linguistically.
Step by step, building towards being able to talk more fully about their life in English.
So that core philosophy we keep coming back to really sums it up. Don't memorize English. Live it. Speak it. Practice every day. Your house is the perfect classroom.
It's a really powerful message, I think. It makes language learning feel less like a chore and more like, well, just part of living. Accessible, continuous, integrated. It takes the pressure off needing a formal classroom and says, look, your best resource is right here, all around you.
Very empowering. Which leads us perfectly into our final thought, our provocative question for you, our listener.
Good.
We've just spent this whole time exploring how a language program cleverly transforms a totally familiar setting, your home, into this dynamic learning lab for English.
Right. using the everyday as the textbook.
Exactly. So think about this. Beyond learning a language, what other parts of your everyday life, what other routines or environments could you maybe transform into an unexpected classroom? Could your commute become study time for something? Could your kitchen become a lab for learning chemistry principles through cooking?
Interesting. Applying that live it, practice its idea more broadly.
Yeah. How can we take that principle embedding learning into our daily actions, into our immediate surroundings to truly master any new skill or absorb any new knowledge we want, whether it's a hobby, a work skill, anything? How can we make our world our classroom?
That's a great question to ponder. Making learning less separate, more integrated.
Something to think about as you go about your day. Thank you so much for joining us on the Deep Dive. We hope you found this look at language learning in the home environment as fascinating as we did.
It was definitely insightful.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into a fresh set of sources.